Hey guys, this is Jared here at Oregon Paddle Sports, and today we're going to be demonstrating a video on how to replace a valve on your PVC vinyl boat. For today's repair, these are the materials we will be using. We have acetone, which will be used to clean the boat and the material. We also have your MEK, which will act as your primer to soften the boat and the patch before we put the glue on. And we also have the cement that is used for PVC, vinyl, and urethane boats. We'll also need sandpaper to use to roughen up the boat and the patch before adding any MEK or glue. Then we have a roller which is used after the patch is laid to get rid of any type of air bubbles or creases that may be on the patch. Make sure to have gloves to protect your hands when using the chemicals. And then we will also use any pair of scissors to cut out the patch later on. When removing the valve, we want to start with the boat fully inflated. Once we have it loosened just a little bit, then we can allow to deflate the boat and remove it the rest of the way. Once we have it deflated, we can put the valve wrench over top the valve, and you can use your hand to grab the bottom of the valve and hold on to as you loosen. Now once we have the valve out, we can set it down and we will begin the next process. Now that we have the valve out, we want to take the bottom part and we want to move it to the side for now, get it out of the way so we can have a clean area to make our incision on the side of the hole. Now that the valve is out of the way, we're going to take our scissors and we want to make about a 1/2 inch incision on each end right here. Make sure to start small, and then you can always cut more if you need later. Once you think you've made a large enough incision, now we can move the valve back in place and we will see if we can get it, squeeze it out. Now that we have our patch cut, we want to make sure that it's 2 inches past the incision to make sure we get a large enough surface area to cover over. And make sure that your hole matches the hole where the valve was removed from. Now that we have our patch cut and we've made sure that it's the proper size, we're going to lay it down and mark around it with a pencil or a marker just to give us an outline so we know where we'll be gluing and where to sand. Now that we have that marked down, we can begin sanding now the patch and the boat. You just want to get it nice and roughed up without going too far through that top layer of material. Make sure to get all the way around all of the edges to ensure for the best adhesion to the boat. Now that we've done sanding the boat and the patch, we're going to use the acetone to clean it. And if you don't have acetone available, you can use rubbing alcohol as well to clean the surface. Now that the area has been properly cleaned, we can begin putting on the MEK to prime the patch and the boat. When using the MEK, we want to make sure that we just have a nice even layer across the entire patch. Once your layer of MEK is on, you want to allow 5 minutes to dry. Now that the first layer of MEK has had the proper amount of time to dry, we can put the second layer on. Now that your second layer of MEK is dried, we can begin with the first layer of glue. When applying the glue, we want to make sure that it's a nice, thin, even layer put completely across the patch, getting all the way to the very edge. Before applying glue to the boat where the valve will be put on, you want to put the bottom half back into the boat. Once you have the bottom of the valve back into the boat, you can leave to the side so we can allow for a flat surface to be able to glue onto the raft. Now that the bottom of the valve is back into the boat, we can begin applying glue onto the raft. Again, it is important that we get all the way out to the very edge with the glue to ensure for the best adhesion with the patch. Now for the second layer of glue on the patch. As we're applying the second layer of glue and we begin to let it set, we want to allow it to dry for roughly 10 minutes before we begin to put the patch onto the boat. This will allow for it to get tacky, but without sticking to your finger if you were to touch. Now that we've allowed our patch to properly dry, and when you put your knuckle to it, you do not get any glue residue stuck, you can begin sticking it onto the boat. Make sure you have your roller with you, and as we lay it down, we're going to start in the middle around the hole and then lay it flat to the edge. Make sure as you're rolling, you are rolling from multiple angles to ensure that you get all air bubbles out. Once your patch is properly laid and you have allowed to sit for at least 12 hours before inflating, we can now get the bottom part of the valve lined up with our hole to insert the top half of the valve in. Take the top half, we want to make sure we line up, and you can begin screwing in. Once you have it about as tight as you can get, we can now inflate the boat, and then once we have it inflated, we can finish tightening the valve. Now that we have the boat inflated, we're going to take the wrench and finish tightening down the valve. We want to give it one good last twist to make sure it's nice and tight, and then it is sealed. Now we can take soap with water and spray around to make sure we have no leaks. If you don't see any bubbles coming up, you now know that your patch is good to go and your valve is sealed. Thanks for watching our video. Please come visit us at Oregon Paddle Sports in Eugene, Oregon. And if you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button.